Just as the elders were about to pronounce them husband and wife, a strong wind blew through the village square. The sky darkened and the air grew cold. The villagers gasped and murmured among themselves. Suddenly, Chinazo let out a piercing scream and fell to the ground. In the heart of Igbo land, in a village called Umudim, lived a beautiful girl named Chinazo. She was known for her radiant smile and kind heart. Chinazo's family was well respected in the village, and they lived in a traditional mud house with thatched roofs. The house was surrounded by lush green fields where they grew yams, cassava, and vegetables. Chinazo had many friends, but none were as close as Amuchi and Uzoma. The three girls would often gather under the large mango tree at the center of the village to share stories and dreams. One sunny afternoon, as they sat under the tree, a young man named Azuka passed by. Azuka was handsome and strong, known for his bravery and wisdom. Chinazo had admired him from afar for a long time. Azuka, who was on his way to the village square, greeted the girls with a warm smile. Chinazo felt her heart flutter, and her friends noticed. "Chinazo, you like Azuka, don't you?" teased Amuchi. Chinazo blushed and looked away, trying to hide her feelings. Days turned into weeks, and Chinazo's admiration for Azuka grew. She dreamed of marrying him and starting a family. However, Azuka didn't seem to notice her. This made Chinazo sad, and she started to feel desperate. One evening, as the sun was setting, an old woman named Nneka visited Chinazo's family. Nneka was known in the village for her knowledge of herbs and traditional medicine. Chinazo's mother, Nwanyi Bife, welcomed Nneka and offered her palm wine. As they talked, Chinazo sat quietly listening. Nneka noticed the sadness in Chinazo's eyes when she was about leaving, and she approached her and asked. Chinazo hesitated but eventually shared her feelings about Azuka. Nneka listened carefully and then spoke in a low voice. "There is a way to make Azuka notice you, but it's not without consequences." Chinazo's eyes widened with curiosity and fear. Nneka explained that there was a special charm that could make Azuka fall in love with her, but warned that using such a charm was against the will of the gods and could lead to unforeseen troubles. Despite the warning, Chinazo's desperation to be with Azuka clouded her judgment. Chinazo's mind was in turmoil after Nneka's visit. The thought of using a charm to win Azuka's love seemed both thrilling and terrifying. That night, she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, her thoughts racing. The next morning, as the roosters crowed to greet the dawn, Chinaza made a decision. She would visit Nneka and ask for the charm. At sunrise, Chinazo walked to Nneka's hut on the outskirts of the village. The path was lined with tall palm trees and vibrant flowers. The birds sang sweet melodies, but Chinazo could hardly hear them over the pounding of her heart. When she arrived, Nneka was already awake, grinding herbs in a wooden mortar. "Ah, Chinazo, I knew you would come," Nneka said with a knowing smile. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. Chinazo nodded, her determination unwavering. Nneka sighed and led Chinazo into her hut. The air inside was filled with the scent of dried herbs and incense. Shelves lined the walls, stacked with jars of various sizes. each containing mysterious ingredients. Nneka retrieved a small wooden box from a high shelf. She opened it to reveal a tiny vial filled with a glowing liquid. "This is the charm," Nneka explained. "Pour it into Azuka's drink and he will fall in love with you. But remember, this is powerful magic, and the gods do not look kindly upon those who use it." Chinazor took the vial with trembling hands. "Thank you, Nneka," she whispered, her voice filled with a mix of gratitude and fear. She left the hut and hurried back to the village, the vial hidden safely in her pocket. Days passed, and Chinazor waited for the right moment. One evening, the village gathered for a celebration at the village square. There was music, dancing, and plenty of food and drink. Chinazor saw her chance. She approached Azuka, who was laughing with his friends near the palm wine stand. "Azuka, would you like some palm wine?" she asked, her heart pounding. Azuka smiled warmly and accepted the drink. As he raised the cup to his lips, Chinazor's breath caught in her throat. She watched as he drank the wine, the charm working its magic. From that night on, Azuka's behavior changed. He began to notice Chinazor, seeking her out and spending time with her. The villagers were surprised by the sudden bond between them, but they were happy for Chinazor. Azuka soon declared his love for her, and they became inseparable. However, Chinazor couldn't shake the nagging feeling of guilt that tugged at her heart. She knew she had gone against the will of the gods, and deep down, she feared the consequences. But for now, she tried to focus on her happiness with Azuka, hoping that the gods would not notice the forbidden charm she had used. Chinazor and Azuka's love blossomed, and soon, Azuka asked for Chinazor's hand in marriage. The news spread through Umudim like wildfire. The villagers were excited, and preparations for the grand wedding began. The women of the village gathered at Chinazor's home, helping with the arrangements. They pounded yam, prepared soups, and made colorful traditional outfits for the ceremony. Chinazor's heart was filled with a mix of joy and anxiety. She was happy to marry Azuka, but the guilt of using the charm still haunted her. Her mother, Nwaanyi Bife, noticed the unease in her daughter's eyes. "My daughter, you should be happy. This is your special day," she said, caressing Chinazor's hair. Chinazor forced a smile and nodded. She tried to push her worries aside and focus on the festivities. The village square was decorated with palm fronds and vibrant fabrics. Drummers practiced their beats, and dancers rehearsed their steps. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation. On the eve of the wedding, Chinazor's friends, Amuche and Uzoma, stayed with her. They laughed and reminisced about their childhood. "Can you believe it, Chinazor? You are getting married tomorrow," Amuche exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Chinazor nodded, her heart heavy with the secret she carried. As night fell, the village grew quiet. Chinazor lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She whispered a silent prayer, hoping that the gods would forgive her for using the charm. Exhausted from the day's activities, she eventually fell into a restless sleep. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. The sun shone down on the village, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. Chinazor's family and friends helped her dress in her traditional wedding attire. She wore a beautiful wrapper, adorned with intricate patterns, and her hair was styled with beads and cowrie shells. Her face was painted with white chalk, symbolizing purity and blessings. Azuka arrived with his family. dressed in his own traditional attire. He looked handsome and proud as he stood before Chinazo. The village elders began the ceremony, chanting prayers and offering kola nuts to the gods. The villagers watched with smiles, their hearts filled with joy for the couple. Just as the elders were about to pronounce them husband and wife, a strong wind blew through the village square. The sky darkened and the air grew cold. The villagers gasped and murmured among themselves. Suddenly, Chinazo let out a piercing scream and fell to the ground, her body convulsing. Azuka, who had been standing close by, blinked as if waking from a dream. He looked around, confused. "What is happening? Where am I?" he asked, his voice trembling. The elders and villagers stared at him in shock. Azuka turned to one of the elders and asked, "Why am I here? What is going on?" The elder, Mr. Anayo, looked at him with concern. "Azuka, this is your wedding. You are marrying Chinazo," he explained gently. Azuka's eyes widened in disbelief. "Marrying? I am not getting married. I don't even know who Chinazo is," he exclaimed, his voice rising in panic. The villagers gasped and a murmur spread through the crowd. Anayo's face grew stern as he began to understand. "Chinaza used a spell on Azuka," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of sadness and anger. The realization hit everyone hard. The charm that had brought Azuka and Chinazo together was now tearing them apart. Nwanyị, heartbroken, took her daughter home. Chinazo's madness grew worse and she screamed and raved, unable to recognize anyone. Azuka, still reeling from the revelation, did not return to see her. The love that had seemed so perfect was shattered, and the village was left to deal with the aftermath of forbidden magic. Chinazo's family struggled to care for her, and the villagers offered their support. But the bond between Chinazo and Azuka was broken, and it seemed there was no way to mend it. The gods had intervened, and the consequences of Chinazo's desperate actions were now painfully clear. Chinazo's family was devastated by the events of the wedding day. Chinazo's condition worsened, her madness growing more intense with each passing day. Azuka, now free from the spell, did not return to see her, his heart filled with anger and betrayal. Nwanyị knew they needed to find a solution to save her daughter. One evening, Nwanyị approached her husband Obiwanne. "We must seek the help of the gods," she said softly. "There is a shrine deep in the forest where the high priestess Ezine resides. She is known for her wisdom and connection to the spirits. Perhaps she can help us." Obiwanne agreed, and the next morning, he and Nwanyị set off for the shrine, carrying Chinazo with them. They traveled through dense forest, guided by the songs of birds and the rustling of leaves. After hours of walking, they reached the shrine, a sacred place surrounded by ancient trees and filled with the scent of burning herbs. Ezine, the high priestess, greeted them with a calm and knowing expression. She listened as Nwanyị explained Chinazo's plight. Her eyes closed in deep concentration. When Nwanyị finished, Ezine opened her eyes and nodded slowly. "The gods are indeed angry," Ezine said. "Chinazo used forbidden magic, and now she must seek their forgiveness. The path to redemption is not easy, but it is possible." She handed Nwanyị a small pouch filled with sacred herbs. "These herbs will help calm her mind, but you must also perform a ritual of cleansing and repentance at the river. Nwaanyị thanked Ezine and they returned to the village. That evening, they prepared a small altar by the river, placing offerings of kola nuts, yam, and palm wine. Chinazo, still in her disturbed state, was brought to the river. Nwaanyị sprinkled the sacred herbs into the water, and the air filled with a soothing aroma. As the moon rose high in the sky, Nwaanyị and Obiwanne chanted prayers of forgiveness, asking the gods to show mercy. They guided Chinazo into the river, letting the cool water wash over her. Chinazo's screams gradually turned into soft murmurs, and her body relaxed in the embrace of the water. After the ritual, Chinazo was taken back home. Over the next few days, she showed signs of improvement. The madness that had taken hold of her seemed to recede, and she began to recognize the faces of her loved ones. Nwaanyị and Obiwanne stayed close, speaking to her softly, reminding her of the love and support of her family. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Chinazo turned to her parents with clear eyes. "I remember," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I remember everything." Nwaanyị embraced her heart filled with relief and joy. Though Chinazo's mind had been restored, the journey of healing was far from over. The village elders decided that a final ceremony was needed to fully cleanse her spirit and ensure the gods' forgiveness. Nwaanyị and Obiwanne agreed, knowing that they had to respect the will of the gods and the traditions of their people. The preparations for the final ceremony began, and the village once again came together to support Chinazo and her family. This time, it was not a celebration of a wedding, but a ceremony of atonement and new beginnings. Chinazo, now aware of the gravity of her actions, was ready to face whatever lay ahead, with her family by her side. The day of the final ceremony arrived, and the entire village gathered to witness and support Chinazo. The elders chanted prayers, and the air was filled with the sound of drums and the smell of incense. Chinazo, dressed in white to symbolize purity and new beginnings, stood at the center of the village square. The ceremony was long and solemn, with offerings made to appease the gods and ask for their continued blessings. As the sun set and the ceremony concluded, Chinazo felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The villagers, seeing her renewed spirit, offered words of encouragement and support. Nwaanyị and Obiwanne stood proudly by their daughter's side, grateful for the second chance given to her. Over the following weeks, Chinazo's healing process began in earnest. She spent her days helping around the house, tending to the fields, and slowly reconnecting with her friends and family. Each day, she grew stronger, her mind clearer, and her heart more at peace. However, there was one thing that continued to trouble her: her guilt over what she had done to Azuka. One morning, after much contemplation, Chinazo decided it was time to seek Azuka's forgiveness. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she needed to make amends for her actions. With her parents' blessing, she set off to find Azuka. She hoped that by facing him and asking for his forgiveness, she could finally find peace. Chinazo walked to Azuka's home, her heart pounding with each step. When she arrived, she saw Azuka walking in the yard. He looked up and saw her approaching. His expression hardened and he turned away, focusing on his work. Chinazo took a deep breath and approached him. "Azuka, please, I need to talk to you," she said softly, her voice trembling. Azuka continued to walk, ignoring her presence. "Azuka, I am so sorry for what I did. I know I hurt you deeply, and I regret my actions every day. Please, give me a chance to explain and ask for your forgiveness." Azuka finally stopped what he was doing and looked at Chinazo. His eyes were filled with anger and pain. "Chinazo, there is nothing you can say that will change what happened," he said coldly. "You betrayed me and used dark magic to manipulate me. I have no reason to listen to you." Chinazo felt tears well up in her eyes, but she refused to give up. "I understand that I hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But please, just hear me out. I want to make things right." Azuka shook his head and turned away. "There is nothing to say. Leave me alone, Chinazo." With that, he walked back into his house, leaving Chinazo standing there, her heart breaking all over again. Chinazo stood there for a moment, tears streaming down her face. She realized that forgiveness would not come easily, if at all. She had to accept that her actions had consequences and that Azuka had every right to be angry. With a heavy heart, she turned and walked back home, determined to continue her path of healing and redemption, even if it meant doing so without Azuka's forgiveness. The next day, Chinazo returned from the farm, her basket filled with fresh vegetables. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the village. As she walked along the path, she saw Azuka in the distance, carrying a bundle of firewood. Her heart skipped a beat. She knew she had to try again, to show him her sincerity. Gathering her courage, Chinazo quickened her pace and approached Azuka. "Azuka, please, can we talk?" she called out, her voice gentle and pleading. Azuka turned sharply, his face hardening as he saw her. "Chinazo, I warned you yesterday," he said, his voice cold and firm. "Stay away from me. I don't want to hear anything you have to say." "Azuka, I just want a chance to make things right," Chinazo persisted, her eyes filled with tears. "Please, just listen to me for a moment." Azuka's eyes flashed with anger. "You think you can make things right? After what you did? You are evil and wicked, Chinazo. You use dark magic to control me. Do you understand how that feels? Stay away from me and my family. I want nothing to do with you." His words cut deep, like a knife through her heart. Chinazo felt a wave of sadness and guilt wash over her. Tears streamed down her face as she stood there, feeling utterly broken. She couldn't bear to see the hatred in Azuka's eyes, the eyes that once looked at her with love. Unable to hold back her emotions, Chinazo turned and ran home, sobbing uncontrollably. She burst through the door of her house, startling her parents. Nwanyibife rushed to her side, pulling her into a comforting embrace. "My child, what happened?" Nwanyibife asked, her voice filled with concern. Chinazo could barely speak through her tears. "Azuka, he hates me. He called me evil and wicked. He doesn't want anything to do with me," she cried, burying her face in her mother's shoulder. Obinwanne approached, placing a gentle hand on Chinazo's back. "Chinazo, You must give him time. What you did hurt him deeply, and it will take a long time for him to heal, he said softly. Nwanyedife nodded, stroking Chinazo's hair. Your father is right. Healing takes time, and sometimes forgiveness doesn't come easily. You must focus on continuing your own healing and finding peace within yourself. Chinazo nodded, though her heart was heavy with sorrow. She knew her parents were right, but the pain of Azuka's rejection was almost unbearable. She spent the rest of the evening in her room, reflecting on her actions and the path she had chosen. She knew she had to find a way to forgive herself and accept the consequences of her choices. As the days passed, Chinazo threw herself into her work, helping her family and the village. She focused on becoming a better person, hoping that one day Azuka might see her efforts and reconsider. But for now, she had to live with the pain of his rejection and the knowledge that she had caused him great suffering. Days turned into weeks, and Chinazo dedicated herself to helping her family and the village. She worked tirelessly in the fields, fetching water from the stream and assisting the elders with their tasks. Her hard work and determination began to change the villagers' perception of her. They saw a girl who was genuinely remorseful and striving to make amends for her past mistakes. One morning, as she was sweeping the front yard, her friend Amuche came to visit. Chinazo, I have missed you, Amuche said with a warm smile. I see you have been working hard. How are you holding up? Chinazo smiled weakly. I am trying my best, Amuche. Each day is a challenge, but I'm determined to become a better person. Amuche nodded, understanding the pain her friend was going through. You have a good heart, Chinazo. I believe that in time, Azuka will see that too. Until then, you have us, your friends and family to support you. Chinazo felt a surge of gratitude for her friend's kindness. Thank you, Amuche. Your words mean a lot to me. As the weeks passed, Chinazo continued her path of redemption. She sought out ways to help those in need, whether it was assisting a neighbor with their chores or caring for the village children while their parents worked. Her efforts did not go unnoticed, and slowly, the villagers began to speak kindly of her once more. One day, while working in the field, Chinazo saw an elderly woman struggling to carry a heavy basket of yams. Without hesitation, she rushed over to help. Let me carry that for you, Mama, she said, taking the basket from the woman's hands. The elderly woman, Mama Nkechi, smiled warmly at Chinazo. Thank you, my child. You have a kind heart. May the gods bless you for your generosity. Chinazo felt a glimmer of hope. Each act of kindness was a step towards mending her broken spirit. She knew that forgiveness might never come from Azuka, but she hoped that her actions would show the gods and the village that she was truly repentant. One evening, as she sat by the river, reflecting on her journey, she saw Azuka walking along the opposite bank. Her heart ached with longing, but she respected his wishes and did not approach him. She watched as he gathered firewood, his face set in a determined expression. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the water, Chinazo made a silent promise to herself. She would continue to strive for redemption, not just for Azuka's forgiveness, but for her own peace of mind and the well-being of her community. The road ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but Chinazo was no longer the same desperate girl who had used forbidden magic. She was stronger, wiser, and ready to face whatever the future held. with courage and determination. And so, Chinazo's journey continued, a testament to the power of redemption and the strength of the human spirit. With each passing day, she grew more confident in her ability to change and hoped that one day she would find the forgiveness she sought, even if it meant forgiving herself first. At Azuka's house, the evening was quiet as he sat outside, tending to a small fire. His thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions, still grappling with the betrayal he felt from Chinazo. Just then, Uzoma, one of Chinazo's friends, approached him. She had a determined look on her face. "Azuka, I need to talk to you," Uzoma said, her voice filled with an urgency that caught his attention. Azuka looked up, surprised by her visit. "Uzoma, what brings you here?" he asked, his tone cautious. Uzoma took a deep breath and stepped closer. "Azuka, I have to confess something. Chinazo is not the right person for you. She used a spell to trap you into loving her. That shows how bad she is. I have always cared for you, and I would never do such a thing. I am better than Chinazo, and I would love you the way you deserve." Azuka's expression darkened. He stood up, his eyes flashing with anger. "Uzoma, how dare you come here and speak ill of your friend? What she did was wrong, but it does not give you the right to use this situation to your advantage. You and Chinazo are birds of same feathers if you think you can win my heart by tearing her down." Uzoma was taken aback by his response. "But Azuka, Leave!" Azuka interrupted, his voice firm and unyielding. "And never come back. I want nothing to do with you." Feeling humiliated, Uzoma turned and hurried away from Azuka's house. As she walked along the path back to the village, her face burned with shame and anger. She couldn't believe that her plan had backfired so badly. On her way home, she came across Amuche, who was returning from fetching water. Amuche noticed Uzoma's distressed expression and approached her. "Uzoma, what happened?" she asked, concerned. Uzoma hissed in frustration. "I went to see Azuka, and I told him that Chinazo was a bad person for using a spell on him and that I would be better for him. But he got angry and told me to leave, calling us birds of same feathers." Amuche's eyes widened in disbelief and anger. "Uzoma, how could you do that? You know Chinazo still loves Azuka. How could you try to take advantage of this situation?" Uzoma crossed her arms defiantly. "Azuka will never be with Chinazo, and I will never allow that. He deserves someone better." Amuche shook her head, her disappointment evident. "You are wrong, Uzoma. Love isn't about taking advantage of someone else's mistakes. You should be ashamed of yourself." Uzoma turned away with a huff and walked off, her mind set on her own desires. Amuche stood there, feeling a mix of sadness and anger. She knew that Uzoma's actions would only make things worse for Chinazo and Azuka. Determined to support her friend, Amuche decided to visit Chinazo and tell her what had happened. She hoped that somehow Chinazo could find the strength to keep moving forward, despite the obstacles and betrayals she faced. Amuche walked into Chinazo's house to see her cooking dinner. The aroma of freshly cooked yam and vegetable soup filled the air. Chinazo looked up and smiled warmly when she saw her friend. "Amuche, you are just in time. Come join me in the kitchen," she said cheerfully. Amuche smiled back and joined Chinazo, rolling up her sleeves to help. As they cooked, they talked and laughed, reminiscing about their childhood and sharing stories from the village. The kitchen was filled with the sounds of their chatter and the clinking of pots and pans. "Do you remember when we used to sneak into mango grove and eat all the ripe mangoes before the elders could get them? Amuche asked, giggling. Chinazo laughed, her eyes sparkling with joy. Oh, how could I forget? We got into so much trouble for that. After they finished cooking, Chinazo set the table and invited Amuche to stay for dinner. They enjoyed the meal together, savoring the delicious food and each other's company. Once they were done, Chinazo walked Amuche to the door to see her off. As they walked down the path, the sky turning shades of orange and pink with the setting sun. Amuche's expression grew serious. Chinazo, there is something I need to tell you, she began hesitantly. Chinazo looked at her friend with concern. What is it, Amuche? Amuche took a deep breath and recounted her encounter with Uzoma. Uzoma went to see Azuka and told him that you were a bad person for using the spell on him. She even confessed her love for him, saying she could be better for him. Azuka was furious and sent her away, calling you both birds of the same feathers. Chinazo's face fell, and she felt a pang of sadness and betrayal. Uzoma did that, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. Amuche nodded, reaching out to hold Chinazo's hand. Yes, but please, Chinazo, don't confront her. It will only make things worse. Focus on your own healing and redemption. Uzoma's actions will catch up with her eventually. Chinazo took a deep breath and nodded, though her heart ached from the betrayal. You are right, Amuche. I won't confront her. I just can't believe someone I considered a friend would do this. Amuche hugged Chinazo tightly. I'm here for you always. Don't let this bring you down. Chinazo managed a smile, appreciating Amuche's support. Thank you, Amuche. Your friendship means a lot to me. They bid each other goodbye, and Chinazo walked back to her house. Her heart heavy with sorrow, she went inside her room and sat down. The tears she had been holding back finally spilling over. She felt a deep sense of betrayal and sadness, knowing that someone she trusted had tried to hurt her even more. As the night grew darker, Chinazo cried quietly, her heart aching. She knew that her journey to redemption was far from over, and that she had to stay strong despite the obstacles. She resolved to focus on becoming a better person and to surround herself with true friends who would support her through thick and thin. The next day, Chinazo walked through the village with Amuche by her side. The sun was shining brightly, and the village was bustling with activity. As they walked along the main path, they saw Azuka returning from the farm, carrying a bundle of firewood on his back. Chinazo's heart pounded in her chest. She knew she had to talk to him again, to make him understand how deeply sorry she was. Ignoring Amuche's attempt to stop her, she walked straight towards Azuka. Chinazo, please don't. Amuche pleaded, grabbing her arm. Chinazo shook her head, determination in her eyes. I have to do this, Amuche. She approached Azuka, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. Azuka, please, I need to talk to you. Azuka looked at her with cold eyes and ignored her, continuing to walk past her. Chinazo didn't let that stop her. She followed him, her voice rising in desperation. Azuka, please, just hear me out. Azuka stopped and turned to face her, his face contorted with anger. I told you to leave me alone, Chinazo. Why can't you understand that? Chinazo's heart broke at his harsh words, but she stood her ground. Azuka, I know I hurt you, and I am deeply sorry. I love you more than anything, and I was wrong to use the spell. Please, just give me a chance. Azuka's anger fled, You love me? You call this love? You use dark magic to control me. How can I even trust you? Chinazo's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to back down. If you want to hate me, then hate me. If you want to hurt me, then hurt me. But please, listen to me. I regret what I did every single day. I was desperate and I made a terrible mistake. I am so sorry, Azuka. Azuka's eyes welled up with tears, his anger slowly giving way to the pain he felt. He couldn't control his emotion any longer, and tears began to stream down his face. Chinazo, just go home, leave me alone, he said, his voice breaking. Chinazo fell to her knees, sobbing, I love you, Azuka. Please forgive me. Azuka turned away, unable to bear the sight of her pain. He walked away, leaving Chinazo on the ground. Her heart shattered. Amuche rushed to her side, helping her up. Chinazo, let's go home, Amuche said softly, her voice filled with sympathy. Chinazo nodded, her tears flowing freely. She let Amuche lead her way, her heart heavy with sorrow and regret. She knew that it would take time for Azuka to heal, and she had to respect his need for space. But she couldn't give up hope. She would continue to prove her sincerity and her love, no matter how long it took. At Azuka's house, he sat alone, staring at the fire in his heart. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the feeling of pain in his heart. His thoughts constantly drifted back to Chinazo. He battled with his emotions, trying to stop thinking about her. But her face, her voice, and her tears haunted him. He was torn between the love he felt for her and the pain of her betrayal. As he sat there, lost in thought, a knock came at the door. Startled, he got up and opened it, and to find Uzoma standing there with a basket of food. She smiled sweetly and greeted him. Good evening, Azuka. I brought you some food. I thought you might like it. Azuka's expression darkened. Uzoma, take it away. I don't want your food, and I don't want you coming here anymore. Uzoma's smile faded, replaced by a look of anger. Azuka, you are a coward. You can't even see what's right in front of you. She spat before turning on her heel and storming off. Fuming, Uzoma made her way straight to Chinazo's house. She found Chinazo sitting outside, quietly weaving a basket. Without any greeting, Uzoma confronted her. Chinazo, you need to lose your grip on Azuka. I know your spell is still holding him. Chinazo looked up, surprised and hurt by Uzoma's words. Uzoma, what are you talking about? The spell was broken. Azuka's feelings are his own now. Uzoma sneered. I don't care about our friendship anymore. You need to stay away from Azuka. He belongs to me. Chinazo stood up, her eyes filled with sadness. Uzoma, I thought we were friends. How can you say such things? Uzoma crossed her arms, her face set in a defiant scowl. I don't care about friendship. Stay away from Azuka or else. With that, Uzoma turned and left, leaving Chinazo standing there, shocked and hurt by her friend's behavior. Chinazo sat back down, tears welling up in her eyes. She couldn't understand how Uzoma could be so cruel. The betrayal from someone she had considered a friend cut deeply, adding to the pain she was already feeling. Inside her heart, Chinazo knew she had to stay strong. She would continue her journey of redemption, no matter how difficult it became. She wiped away her tears and resolved to keep moving forward, one step at a time. That night, as Chinazo sat on the porch lost in her thoughts, she noticed a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the yard. She squinted into the darkness and her heart skipped a beat when she recognized Azuka. Shocked, she called out, "Azuka, what are you doing here?" Azuka walked up to her, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the moonlight. Without a word, he embraced her tightly. Chinazo, overwhelmed by emotions, wrapped her arms around him. Tears streamed down both their faces as they held each other for what felt like an eternity. Finally, they pulled apart slightly and sat down on the porch, their hands still intertwined. Azuka took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. "Chinazo, ever since that day, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. The pain, the betrayal, it was all consuming, but I realized something important." Chinazo's eyes filled with tears. "Azuka, I'm so sorry for everything I did. I was wrong, and I know I hurt you deeply. I regret my actions every single day." Azuka nodded, his expression softening. "I know you were desperate, and I understand why you did what you did. It doesn't make it right, but I see how much you regret it. And in the midst of all the pain, I found myself falling in love with you for real." Chinazo's breath caught in her throat. "You fell in love with me?" Azuka squeezed her hand. "Yes, I did. Seeing you change, seeing your genuine remorse, and the kindness you have shown to everyone, it made me see the real you, the person behind the mistake." Chinazo's tears flowed freely. "Azuka, I have tried so hard to become a better person, to make amends for my mistakes, but I never stopped loving you." Azuka looked into her eyes, his own filled with tears. "I never stopped loving you either, Chinazo. The pain of what you did couldn't erase the love I have for you. I was just so hot and angry." Chinaza nodded, wiping her tears away. "I understand, Azuka. I never expected you to forgive me easily, but I'm so grateful that you are here now, that we can talk." Azuka sighed, looking up at the stars. "I have realized that holding onto anger wasn't helping me. It was only making me miserable. And seeing you today, hearing you say how much you regret what happened, it made me realize that maybe we can find a way to move forward." Chinazo's heart swelled with hope. "I want nothing more than to move forward, Azuka, to start over if you will have me." Azuka turned to her, his eyes full of determination. "I want that too, Chinazo. It won't be easy, but I'm willing to try. We can take it one day at a time together." They sat there, talking long into the night, sharing their hopes and fears, and finding solace in each other's presence. For the first time in a long while, both felt a sense of peace. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but they were ready to face it together. As the first light of dawn began to break, Azuka and Chinazo made a silent promise to each other, a promise to rebuild their relationship on trust, honesty, and love. And with that promise, they took their first steps towards a new beginning. As days turned into weeks, Chinazo and Azuka's love blossomed, this time for real. They spent countless hours together, sharing stories, dreams, and laughter. The bond they formed was stronger and deeper than ever before, built on honesty and a mutual respect that had grown out of their past struggles. Amuche, always a loyal friend, was overjoyed to see Chinazo happy again. She often joined the couple on their walks around the village, their laughter echoing through the fields. "I am so happy for you, Chinazo," Amuche said one sunny afternoon. "You both deserve this happiness." Chinazo smiled, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you, Amuche. Your support means the world to me." However, not everyone shared in their joy. Uzoma was consumed by anger and jealousy. She watched from a distance as Chinazo and Azuka's relationship flourished. Her frustration grew with each passing day, and she couldn't accept that Azuka had chosen Chinazo over her. Chinazo's parents, Nwanyibife and Obiwanne, were there to support their daughter and Azuka. They welcomed Azuka into their home with open arms, appreciating the effort he had made to reconcile and rebuild their relationship. "You both have been through so much," Nwanyibife said one evening. "We are proud of the strength and love you have shown." The villagers too were happy to see Chinazo and Azuka genuinely in love. They admired the couple's resilience and the way they had overcome their past. At the village square, during festivals and gatherings, the sight of Chinazo and Azuka together brought smiles to many faces. The elders, who had once been wary of Chinazo's actions, now spoke kindly of her, acknowledging her efforts to make amends. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, Chinazo and Azuka sat by the river, their favorite spot. Azuka held Chinazo's hand, his eyes reflecting the fading light. "We have come a long way, haven't we?" he said softly. Chinazo nodded, leaning her head on his shoulder. "Yes, we have, and I am grateful for every moment." Azuka turned to face her, his expression serious yet tender. "Chinazo, I want us to build a future together, to continue growing, learning, and loving. Will you stand by my side?" Chinazo's heart swelled with emotion. "Yes, Azuka, I will always stand by your side." Their love, once tainted by desperation and mistakes, had transformed into something pure and enduring. They knew the road ahead would still have its challenges, but they were ready to face them together, supported by their families, friends, and the entire village. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Chinazo and Azuka made a silent vow to each other to cherish their love, to remain true to themselves and each other, and to always remember the journey that had brought them together. And with that promise, they embraced the future with hope and determination, ready to write the next chapter of their lives. As their love deepened, Chinazo and Azuka began planning their wedding, this time with honesty and joy. The entire village buzzed with excitement, eager to celebrate their union. However, not everyone was pleased. Consumed by jealousy and desperation, Uzoma decided she needed to get rid of Chinazo to have Azuka for herself. In a fit of rage, Uzoma sought out the most notorious men in the village and paid them to kill Chinazo. "Make sure no one suspects anything," she warned, her eyes cold and determined. On that fateful day, Chinazo was on her way to the market. The sun shone brightly as she walked down the familiar path, humming a tune. Suddenly, the notorious men blocked her path. Their intentions clear. Fear gripped Chinazo's heart, but she stood her ground, praying silently for the gods' protection. As the men moved to carry out their plan, a thunderous roar filled the sky. Out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning struck the men, killing them instantly. Chinazo stood there, unharmed, her heart pounding with gratitude. She knew the gods had fought for her and saved her life. Shaken but relieved, Chinazo rushed to Azuka's house to tell him what had happened. Bursting through the door, she found Azuka and quickly recounted the miraculous event. "Azuka, the gods saved me. They struck down the men who tried to kill me." Azuka embraced her tightly, his heart filled with gratitude and relief. "Thank the gods for protecting you, Chinazo." As they sat together, thanking the gods for their intervention, Uzoma suddenly ran in, shouting and crying. "Please forgive me," she sobbed, falling to her knees before them. "I planned to kill Chinazo, but it backfired. The gods punished the men I hired." Chinazor and Azoka were stunned, unable to comprehend the depth of Uzoma's actions. The villagers quickly gathered, drawn by the commotion, and Amuche hurried over, concern etched on her face. Uzoma continued to plead, her voice breaking with desperation. "I'm so sorry. I was blinded by jealousy and hatred. Please forgive me." Chinazo, her heart aching for the friend she once knew, knelt down and helped Uzoma to her feet. "I forgive you, Uzoma," she said softly, her voice filled with compassion. "But you must ask the gods for their forgiveness too." The villagers watched as Chinazo embraced Uzoma, forgiving her despite everything. Amuche stepped forward, her eyes filled with admiration for Chinazo's kind heart. "You are truly remarkable, Chinazo." As Uzoma left to seek the gods' forgiveness, the villagers slowly dispersed, whispering about the incredible events they had witnessed. Azuka hugged Chinazo tightly, his heart swelling with love and admiration. "Your kindness and forgiveness amaze me, Chinazo. You are truly special." With the dark cloud of jealousy and betrayal lifted, Chinazo and Azuka looked forward to their future with renewed hope. They knew that together, with the support of their friends, family, and the gods, they could overcome any obstacle. And as they continued to plan their wedding, they did so with hearts full of gratitude and love, ready to begin the next chapter of their lives together. The days leading up to the wedding were filled with joy and excitement. The entire village joined in the preparations, eager to celebrate the union of Chinazo and Azoka. The wedding day dawned bright and clear, the sky a brilliant blue, as if the gods themselves were blessing the occasion. The village square was transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors, with decorations of palm frond flowers and colorful fabrics adorning every corner. Drummers played lively rhythms, and dancers prepared to perform traditional dances. The air was filled with the scent of delicious food being prepared for the feast. Chinazo, dressed in a stunning traditional outfit, walked towards the village square, her heart pounding with happiness. Her dress was adorned with intricate patterns and beads, and her hair was styled with cowrie shells and beautiful ornaments. As she approached, the villagers gasped at her beauty and grace. Azuka stood at the center of the square, dressed in his own traditional attire, looking handsome and proud. His eyes lit up as he saw Chinazo approaching, and he couldn't help but smile. The village elders began the ceremony, chanting prayers and offering kola nuts and palm wine to the gods. As they exchanged vows, their voices steady and filled with emotion, the entire village cheered and celebrated their love. The elders pronounced them husband and wife, and the couple embraced, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The villagers erupted in applause and joyous shouts, their hearts filled with happiness for the newlyweds. The celebration continued late into the night. There was dancing, singing, and feasting. Chinazo and Azoka danced together, surrounded by their friends and family. Amuche, beaming with pride, joined them, her happiness for her friend evident in her eyes. Uzoma, now at peace, watched from a distance, grateful for Chinazo's forgiveness and the chance to start anew. After the wedding, Chinazo moved into Azoka's home. The house, now filled with laughter and love, became a symbol of their union. The couple worked together, supporting each other in every aspect of their lives. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, built on a foundation of trust, respect, and deep affection. In time, Chinazo and Azuka were blessed with 3 beautiful children. Their home was filled with the joyful sounds of children's laughter and play. They taught their children the values of love, kindness, and forgiveness, ensuring that their legacy of love would live on. Amuche too found happiness. She married a rich farmer from a neighboring village. Her husband, kind and hardworking, treated her with respect and love she deserved. Together, they built a prosperous life. And Amuche often visited Chinazo, their bond of friendship remaining as strong as ever. Uzoma also found her path to redemption. She married a kind man from another village and they moved away to start a new life. Though she had once been consumed by jealousy, she learned the value of love and forgiveness through Chinazo's example. Uzoma found peace and happiness in her new life, always grateful for the second chance she had been given. Chinazo and Azuka's love story became a legend in their village, a tale told to inspire future generations. Their journey from betrayal and pain to forgiveness and true love was a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of redemption. As the years passed, Chinazo and Azuka grew old together, their love unwavering. They watched their children grow and start families of their own, their legacy continuing through the generations. Surrounded by their family and friends, they knew that their love had not only transformed their lives but also touched the heart of many. And so, Chinazo and Azuka lived happily ever after. Their love a shining example of the beauty that can arise from even the most difficult of circumstances. Their story was a reminder that true love, built on a foundation of forgiveness and understanding, can overcome any obstacle and endure for a lifetime. The story of Chinazo and Azuka teaches us that true love and genuine forgiveness can overcome even the most challenging obstacles. It highlights the importance of redemption, the power of personal growth, and the value of second chances despite past mistakes and betrayals. Love that is built on honesty, understanding, and mutual respect can heal wounds and create a foundation for a beautiful and lasting relationship. It reminds us that forgiveness is a powerful act that can transform lives and lead to peace and happiness. Thank you so much for watching this amazing story on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.